right, so when I first got my quad Cortex and started learning how to use it, one thing I found is I was focusing very much on building up presets. Obviously it's the first step, and then getting to know maybe how to use the stomp feature, diving into captures and the models and things like that. But one of the things I haven't spent a lot of time with is building out scenes within my presets. And one of the things I've noticed is the disadvantage to that is you lose a lot of kind of the smooth transitions between tones. Because when you're switching between presets, so for example, let's say I'm doing, I don't know, I've got a lead tone. You can hear you get that kind of gap in the tone. And if you use scenes to switch between sounds, then you kind of don't have that same interruption in the tone, and the reverbs and delays can carry the sounds of one tone while you switch to the other. So what I wanted to do today was take my standard set of presets, and I've got 8 of them. You can see here, basically the way I set it up is I run left to right, kind of cleanest to lead. So you can see clean, LG, that's low gain, rhythm, and lead. And then what I do is kind of the bass tones along the bottom, and then the one above it is kind of a boost. So kind of a little more volume, maybe a little more gain, that kind of thing, a little more bite to it. So for example, like if this is the rhythm tone, here's the boosted. So what I want to do is take these 8 presets and transfer them into one preset using scenes. And so one advantage I have is that if you look at the presets, all of these kind of 4, the low gain and the cleans, are using really built around a Kingsley Maiden preamp, which is kind of think of a Fender blackface preamp, and then I'm running that into a EL34 power amp capture, and then I've got a 4x12 high watt cabinet. And so all of them are using those 3 core pieces with just different kind of front end pedals and boosts and things like that. And then the other 4, the 2 rhythms and the 2 leads, are all built around using a Victory Jack preamp that this is a capture that I created, and then again that same EL34 power amp, and then a Mesa Boogie 4x12 cabinet. So given the similarities, it should be pretty straightforward to build out a single preset with all of these blocks, but then configure them by scene. So why don't we go ahead and do that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go build a new preset, and I'm going to pull over all of the relevant blocks from these presets into that one preset, and then we're going to build out the scenes. So let's do that. All right, so I built out a new preset to build all these scenes. I'm just right now just calling it scenes preset. I'm not feeling very creative this morning. And what I've done is I've got the first row running, and then I've got the output of the first row running into the 3rd row, and I've built out all the blocks I think I'm going to need for the for this preset. And one of the things, and this is something I didn't know at first, but when you're building out presets, if you go into the 3rd and 4th row, you get access to additional compute capacity. So if you're running out of compute capacity on the 1st or 2nd row, run into the 3rd row, and there's additional capacity there. And that's how you can get this many blocks in here. And the way I've set this up right now is I've only got the blocks on that I know I'm going to use for every scene. So that is just, I've got my power amp. Sorry, need to turn on the splitter, the power amp, and then I've got a delay and a reverb. So, I mean, that just those three together is not very exciting. So let's go ahead and build out the scenes. So I'm going to switch into scenes mode, and we're going to start here with scene E, which is, if you remember, kind of the cleanest of my clean tones. And so what that is, the major pieces of that is this Kingsley made in preamp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to long press the power button until it gets these four kind of squares here. And that means it's now kind of scene configurable. And then I'm going to turn it on. And I'm going to do the same thing with this high watt cabinet. I long press until I get the four dots, then I turn it on. So now if I switch scenes, you can see those blocks are turning on and off based on what scene I've selected. So I can do the same thing. So for that tone, I'm running a Kingsley Page to give it a little bit of a dumbly kind of feel. I long press the power button, then turn it on, and then I've got a chorus running, which is a dual chorus built into the quad Cortex, and turn it on. And so here's my so that's my clean tone. So one thing you do is that you can switch between scenes while you're programming and not have to save. I tend to save a lot just to make sure I don't mess anything up. So you can see turning those on and off. So if I go to my, well, let's name this scene before we move on. So if I scroll up and I get my scenes view, I go to the scene I'm on, I hit the little edit button here at the upper left, and I give it a name. Let's just call it Clean Chorus. Hit save. All right, so let's move on to this scene. So again, I'm going to want my Kingsley. And you can see it's got the four squares already, so I don't need to do anything. I just turn it on. Same thing with this high watt cabinet. I'm going to want this page on as well. And then additionally, I'm going to turn on this push. So I'm going to get on the long press power button. I'm going to turn that on. And now I'm not going to turn on my chorus for this tone. I've just got my kind of boosted clean tone. So I'll go ahead and save that. And then just like before, I can go here and I can name it. We'll just call it Clean Boost. Save. So there's my Clean Boost. So I've got my two sounds, my So let's say if I just want to maybe a little bit more from the power amp, I could tweak this. Now, if I haven't long pressed it, when I change the settings, it's just globally changing the settings for all scenes. So it's still working at kind of the preset level because I haven't long pressed that. So let's go to this kind of the low gain tone. So again, many of the same things. I've got these pieces on, turning on my cabinet, and I'm also going to turn on this PRS horse meat capture. Again, I long pressed, turn it on, and now I got my low gain. So go ahead and save that. And then for this one, I'll do the same thing, except I'm also going to turn on the gesture push. All right. So you can see all the difference of this is just turning on that gesture. So we go here, we're going to name our scenes. So let's move on to the kind of the jack based ones. So we're going to turn on the jack preamp. I'm going to long press, turn it on. For this one, I'm using the Mesa Boogie 4x12. Again, I will long press that, turn it on. Now I've got my rhythm tone. And now my boosted rhythm. And so for that, I think all I'm going to do is I'm going to go up. I've got this Archer icon. I'm just going to turn this on, kind of to boost that rhythm tone into a little bit more. Oops. So I made a mistake there. I turned it on. I'm still on the other scene. So I'll turn that back off. I'll switch to the scene that I want, and then I will turn it on. So you can see now it's on, and I also need to turn on the cab, the preamp. So there's that. And then let's go over to lead tone. So for the lead, I'm going to turn on my compressor. I'm going to turn on that Archer. Let me change that. I forgot to long press this. Let's do that. I've got my preamp on. I've got my cab on. And then I'm also going to turn on this low high cut. So that does pretty good. One of the things we may want to do there is, let's say I want to push the output of the lead tone a little bit. So I'm going to long press on the volume until I get my 4 little squares, and then I can adjust that a little bit. And now, if you look, as I switch between presets, that volume setting is moving. All right. And now we will switch over to the final one, which is the boosted lead. Again, we'll turn on the compressor. We will turn on the Archer. Maybe on this, we will boost gain just a little bit. We will turn on the jack. Again, maybe I'll turn on the boost that a little bit, get a little more gain out of that. We've got to turn on our cabinets. We're going to turn on our low high cut. Repeat, turning up the volume on the. So now we've got maybe for that one, the volume a little bit to drive. So increasing the volume here to drive the both the preamp and the power amp a little bit more. We'll save it, and now we have all of those tones built into scenes. You can hear as you switch between them, you don't get that kind of interruption in the tone. And part of that is the fact that it's nice because the reverb and delay are continuing on, so those are on for all of the scenes. And so you've got this nice continuity as you switch between them. So I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching.